Everyone doing today? It's your boy JJ Domination, and today we're going to be talking about the very eventful, and I say that with the most sarcasm in the world, the ultimate thrill ride that is the NFL trade deadline. Let's talk about all one of the moves that happened. Well, actually, we'll talk about the stuff that happened Monday as well. I guess I'll give my brief thoughts on that and kind of include it into this trade deadline mini videos. So basically there are 4 trades that went down over the last 2 days, and all 4 of them are very different and unique in their own way. So let's just go ahead and talk about it. So we'll start off, basically in chronological order in which the trades went down. So we're going to be starting off first with the Miami Dolphins. They send Kenyan Drake to the Arizona Cardinals for a 6th round pick that can turn into a 5th round pick. Basically, all I'm going to say is, if you want to look up the definition of an average running back, just Google a picture of Kenyan Drake. That's all I need to say about that. Honestly, he doesn't really do anything spectacular. He's not really great at any aspect of the game. He's just a fine running back. He can be productive, but you can draft at least, 15 Kenyan Drakes a draft. You can find a couple in the undrafted free agency pool as well, so he's really nothing too special. He's the definition of an average running back, but in a backfield that doesn't have David Johnson or Chase Edmonds, I expect Kenyan Drake to give this team a little bit of juice and, try to help out the Arizona Cardinals in some way as they play San Francisco on Thursday Night Football. Next, let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. They actually made a trade with the Cleveland Browns to acquire Genard Avery, who was on my breakout player list. They went and acquired Genard Avery for a conditional draft pick as well in 2020. Probably going to be like a 6th round pick or something. But Genard Avery, for those that don't know, he's a 2nd-year player, I'm pretty sure, and he's got an interesting build. I think he's like 6 foot, 255 pounds. He's kind of like this defensive end, outside linebacker hybrid. He's not Anthony Barr at all whatsoever. Anthony Barr is a great player, but he has that kind of like skill set, I guess you could say, where he's got pass rushing moves. He's a decent coverage guy as well. It'll be interesting to see how Philadelphia uses him. I thought he was going to have a breakout year for the Browns, but he just didn't play. Steve Wilkes didn't really play him. Didn't know where to play him, didn't know how to play him, and well, in Philadelphia, it'll be interesting to see, will he be lining up as a defensive end on 3rd down packages? Will he be used as an outside linebacker? Will Jim Schwartz create some interesting blitz packages with Genard Avery as a linebacker? It'll be very interesting to see. I think he has a pretty dope skill set, for a 2nd-year player, for a guy who really doesn't have a true position in the NFL. Very interesting. He fits more of a hybrid scheme, but in Philadelphia, we'll see. They just need all the help they can get defensively. So yeah, we'll just move on to the next trade. Let's see. The New York Jets, they traded defensive end Leonard Williams. Yeah, they traded defensive end Leonard Williams to the New York Giants for a 2020 3rd round pick, and I believe like a 2021 5th round pick. Maybe I got the years wrong on that, but basically like a 3rd and a 5th round pick for Leonard Williams, who of course was a former top 10 pick in his draft. Leonard Williams wasn't really having the greatest year for the New York Jets, but I believed it was just time for them to head in a different direction. Also, you got the Giants, who are basically strengthening a strength of their defense. They're pretty good on the defensive line, pretty solid against the run, so they're basically getting more stout. He's definitely a physical presence, Leonard Williams that being. So that's a guy that you can definitely, try to re-sign, try to keep around. Even if you don't, I'm sure you'll get a compensatory pick of some kind. But if I'm the Giants, I'm definitely going to try to re-sign him and try to keep him here for the future. I mean, he's still young. He's a pretty good player. You could definitely, give him like a 3 or 4 year deal. And now let's talk about the exciting day, the actual trade deadline, where there was only one move made, and that was Aqib Talib and a 5th round pick going to the Miami Dolphins for an undisclosed draft pick. I'm probably going to assume it's either a 5th or a 4th round draft pick. Because let's face it, I mean, this is basically your good old salary dump. And for those that don't know exactly what a salary cap dump is, it's basically, let's see, it's basically like a team that's trying to get rid of a player who is, you know, going to be making a lot of money, has a big salary cap hit, and it's basically a way for you to get rid of that player. Sometimes you have to send a pick as well for the team to be enticed to take that player on. And for Miami, who's a bad team, and they're probably going to be bad for a few years, that's a good move for them for a couple of reasons. Number one, you get another draft pick to go along with your you get another draft pick to go with your collection of draft picks. And then number two, you get Aqib Talib, who, you know, he may not be the greatest corner at his age. He may not be as good as he once was, you know, like 3, 4, 5 years ago. But, you know, he's going to provide some sort of presence. He's going to be a good locker room guy. There's a chance he could actually come back and play this year, which is pretty good to note. So for Miami, they get basically a locker room guy. They get to take on some salary as well. And it'll just be interesting to see how they use him going forward. You know, they also have Xavier Howard, but he's going on injured reserve today. So basically, the tanking is full, you know, sails ahead, I guess. I'll talk about a couple of interesting things that came up at the trade deadline, but obviously didn't happen, as you'll see in the title, and basically the two teams that I'm messing around with in practice. But the Dallas Cowboys did make a play at all-pro safety Jamal Adams, excuse me. They did make a play at Jamal Adams. The second team that was trying to negotiate with them was the Baltimore Ravens. Of course, the Ravens did lose Tony Jefferson for the season. They've been kind of shuffling around their defensive backs. And they tried to make a play for Jamal Adams. You know, he's a guy that could play in the box. He could be your sub linebacker. He could play deep. Jamal Adams is the jack of all trades. Just one of the best safeties in the game, period. And, yeah, both teams tried to go for him. You know, the Jets wanted more than a first-round pick for him, and they just couldn't quite get the deal. Speaking of the Jets again, Robbie Anderson is a name that came up. Apparently, Green Bay offered a 4th-round pick for Robbie Anderson, and the Jets wanted a 2nd-round pick for him. I'm gonna be honest, okay? I'm not trying to take a massive shit on the New York Jets, but Robbie Anderson, as far as I'm concerned, he's a good player, okay? He's fine. He's a good player. But you would have been lucky to get a 4th-round pick for him, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you're really reaching, expecting to get a 2nd-round pick. At least, you know, Green Bay offered a 4th. I guess that was their big move that they tried to make. That's fine. You know, like, we know what we have in the receiving core without Devontae Adams. Robbie Anderson would have been that deep threat. It would have basically been, you know, what we have in Marquez Valdes-Scantling, just a little bit more polished. I'm fine with not getting Robbie Anderson, to tell you the truth. I really wanted Green Bay to go out there and get a defensive lineman or a linebacker of some sort. Really wasn't that many guys for sale. And then the whole Trent Williams thing just completely was a massive L for everyone involved, because he's reporting back to the Redskins facility. The holdout is over, and the Cleveland wanted him. I think the Browns... yeah, they just weren't able to do it. Washington wanted more than a 2nd-round pick, and they were basically kind of looking for, like, I don't know, a 2nd and a player that they could build around. And the player that they had in mind was going to be Denzel Ward. And, you know, the Browns just drafted Denzel Ward. They just got him back. He played like 99% of the snaps against New England. And, I don't blame Washington for, like, not wanting... I don't blame Washington for, you know, wanting to get something extra. It's really hard to find a good offensive lineman. Then you have one of the greats, you know, in Trent Williams, who is just basically... It seemed like he was just ready to move on. He's reporting back, though, but... I mean, it's already hard enough to get a good offensive lineman, and then you're trying to push your luck with getting Trent Williams. Like, dude, I would have just gave up whatever I needed to get him. Because this Browns, you know, Super Bowl window, it's not necessarily over, but for this season, like, you could have used that extra push. I don't necessarily blame them for not getting him, but at the same time, you know, if you really want to set yourself apart from the others, you kind of need to make that trade. I mean, Baltimore, who has a 3-game edge on you, really a 2-game edge, because, like, you know, Cleveland took care of business against Baltimore. I mean, even they were trying to get in on the Jamal Adams action. I think they were just kind of entertaining it. But very interesting to see that things did not go as planned for the trade deadline. This is obviously the worst trade deadline, at least in recent history. I mean, only one thing happened. Only one thing happened. It just very uneventful. I mean, at least in the NBA trade deadline, you hear a bunch of shit and it actually happens 30 minutes before the deadline's over. Like, in the NFL, nothing happened. I was expecting a few teams to get aggressive, and nobody really got aggressive. The only trade that went down today on Tuesday as of recording this was the LA Rams getting rid of Aqib Talib for a basic salary dump to the Miami Dolphins, which, you know, the trade makes sense for both sides, but it's just like, damn, you know, like, that's the trade that we're going home about and talking about? Yeah, I guess so. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know down below, do you wish your team would have made a move? If so, who would you have wanted to get based on, like, the names that you were hearing? Just a very disappointing day. Like, Chris Harris wasn't dealt. Von Miller said he kept his phone close to him in case he was getting moved. This was a disaster. Just let me know down in the comment section below, like, how you feeling about the deadline. Peace.